Okay, hey guys, welcome to our mastermind call. This is like one of our favorite calls that we do with our rubies and above. And when I saw Melissa post in the Jewel page about Karhma, I was like, I messaged her right away and I was like, we have to hear from you because I just know that this is going to be so inspiring for you guys to hear because it's no secret in this business that people lose rank, right? You have ups in your business, you have downs. And I remember for me, I lost Emerald for almost a year after I first hit it. And I didn't share that part of my story for a very long time. It wasn't until I was Diamond that I started sharing that part of my story. And what I realized is that in that vulnerability and in sharing what I went through to get back to those points and then soar and go beyond, that's what people needed to hear. They needed to hear the real, the raw. What does it actually take when you feel so defeated? How do you rebuild? How do you go around and do that? And so Karhma's going to share with you guys today more about her story, just about what mindset shifts needed to take place for her to be able to rebuild her team, grow that momentum, and then practically what steps did she take? Because we all know that the mindset piece is first, but I was talking to her a little bit this morning and I was like, can you also share what are some of the practical steps that you took? Because sometimes we just need like that other idea or something else to come up to be like, okay, I hear the mindset shifts that need to happen. I know I need to jump into action, but what does that look like? So you can go ahead and take it away, Karhma. You have the floor. Oh,
Okay.
sorry. One more thing. Think about, we're going to do just like a little Q&A at the end. So as she's speaking, if you have questions that pop up, either just drop them in the comments or we'll go through them kind of at the end. So we're excited to hear from you.
Hey, y'all. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for loving on me and inviting me. My throat is crazy this morning, so I've got my water. Y'all bear with me. So I signed up in 2015 and know that it was 100% Jesus. I had never done any sales or sharing and wasn't really interested in that at all, but I hated my real job. Like deep in my soul, I lived for Friday. And then come like Sunday morning, my stomach would start hurting and I would anticipate what Monday would bring. And so I lived in that cycle for years. And one Christmas, my family drew an angel off the angel tree at our church. And we live in a small community. So every kid that was on the angel tree, our pastor and his wife knew them. They had built relationships with their families. And so instead of like delivering gifts to a big facility, or, sometimes you can take them to Walmart for Toys for Tots or whatever, that was not our story. Our story was Pastor Brent's wife handing us the address and the name of the lady and being like, here she is, take it to her house. And so when we got over there were holes in the floor, like you literally could see the dirt. There was not running water in the bathtub, and there was a child in the house. Y'all, it was nothing that we had ever seen before. And God started to do stuff in our hearts. And we started loving on this mama and her daughter, and it grew legs. I don't know if you've ever been in the ocean and you get out in the water and you like look on the shore and you kind of make a mental note, that's where my family is. I see the umbrella. I'm going to stay right here. And then you look up again and you're like, oh my gosh, where are they? Like the water swished you. That is exactly how we felt. It was just, we both were teachers. We never set out to start a ministry. And the next thing we know, we're like full blown in the midst of this ministry. People started handing our phone number out, and I was getting phone calls from everybody. Hey, we're getting new dishes. Do you want our dishes for the mama that you're serving? Or my wife is getting a new washer and dryer, but ours still works. Do you want that for the lady that you're serving? And y'all, God just started doing something. And all of a sudden, I found a passion that I didn't even know existed. And I really wanted to take a leap out of my 17-year career where I had my master's and go into ministry. And I knew that my family would not, like, we wouldn't be able to eat. Like, it was going to be ugly. And so I know that I know that I know that Jesus is strategic and he knows what he's doing, even when we have no idea. So the same year that I decided to take a leap, he put plexus right in my hands. And that journey has built my leadership skills, which has allowed me to grow my team. Not only the ministry, like it's been so twofold. And then he's used Plexus to take care of my family, which I'm forever grateful for. So I get to love on people in my community, but then I've also built this community of women that I get to love on and pour into. And so it has been a beautiful, beautiful journey that I know he wove together. So I want to start by saying if you have something in your heart and you know there's more. That's not in your head. It is a true thing, and Plexus will be that avenue that allows you to do the thing that's in your heart. So I worked really hard, and at the beginning, I literally went to my sponsor and said, "Do you just think Jesus doesn't want me to do this? Because literally nothing's happening." It was so slow. And it took about 6 months, y'all, for me to see, and I was working and nothing was happening. And then it was that time of, oh my gosh, look at this fruit. It's starting to come up. Like I didn't know if what I was planting was going to grow. And then all of a sudden there were things happening. And so I worked really, really hard for years, for years, and finally hit emerald. And I did not hit emerald the way that I wish I'd hit emerald. I hit emerald because I forced it to happen. And that I would never suggest to anybody, because when you do that, the backward swing is so forceful. And that's what I experienced. I hit that I think I was literally at 1501. And I was like, oh God, Melissa, if anybody returns. And it was just painful. But because I hit emerald, that allowed me to see things that I didn't, as a senior Ruby, you don't see. And so it was so beautiful and so wonderful. And I was like, that I want to stay there. But because of how I built out of force instead of out of relationships, it wasn't sustainable. And y'all, when I tell you that I lost rank, I didn't lose rank. Like, I lost rank. I went from 1,500 points to 432 points. Sorry, just saying it out loud. I mean, it was a loss, and it was painful, and it was embarrassing, and it was I'm a very girly girl emotionally. I'm very, yeah, sensitive. And so it was painful to me. But in that, God refined some of those things that I had used the first time to hit emerald that were unhealthy in me. And so I just, I kept pushing. I told Melissa, my motto is if you can't lose if you don't quit. You can't lose if you don't quit. And I'm not going to quit. And y'all know she's a powerhouse. So she's like, yeah, girl, that's the attitude. So we worked really hard. I rebuilt. I hit emerald 4 months. Here comes July, that last month to hit the extravaganza. And y'all, I was at 1450. I did not get to go to Hawaii. I worked so hard and was so close, and it did not happen. But I stayed true to that motto. Um, my mindset had to be that I could grow out of that. And Melissa, knowing that I'm girly, would constantly have to tell me not to ride the roller coaster. Because emotionally, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. It's so great. Oh, this is so terrible. And it was not helping my team. It was not helping my mindset. So I've had to learn how to look at the reality of my business, not the emotions that I brought to my business. And that was hard for me. That was a really hard lesson. Um, I went around that mountain for probably a year and a half. And so I had to learn to kind of put my emotions on a shelf and just look at the reality. It's a business, and I had to look at it that way. Here are some things I want to encourage y'all with. You are winning. Period. You're winning. You're winning if you're making $500. You're winning if you're making $5,000. You are winning. You're still moving forward, whether it's a mile at a time or an inch at a time, it's still forward progress. And that is what we have to look at. That's got to be our measuring stick. You have to be willing to fail forward. If you like, I'm going to be honest, I do not like trying things that I don't think I'm going to be fantastic at because I want to be fantastic at everything I do. Well, that holds me back. I don't know. Are y'all like that? Like, yes, Caitlin, girl, we're friends because somebody's like, let's go play pickleball. I'm like, I'm not good at that. What if I'm not good at that? I don't think I'll do that. So this has definitely made me try some things that I thought maybe I wouldn't be good at. So that's one of the things I want to speak into y'all today is even if you're scared, even if it's a dud, like I've tried things before and it flopped. I thought it was going to be like the thing, right? And it wasn't. And so that's okay. But if you don't try anything with your team, you're never going to find what speaks to them. So you've got to be willing to try the things and see what works and what does not work. Another big shift occurred for me when I stopped dragging people along. And I know I'm talking to some of y'all right now. I was literally putting this dead thing on me and carrying it because that person, their business was dead. They were done. And I was toting them around. I was dragging them along. And because I because I want to please people, I have that in me that I want to make people happy. I didn't want to release them to what they had chosen because I thought them having a business was going to make them happy. Them having success was going to make them happy. And I wasn't listening to what they were telling me was going to make them happy by their actions. And so it was a grieving process. It hurts your heart to be like, okay, I love you, but I've got to release you. And if they want the business, they're going to come back. And so it's okay for you to just open your hands up and be like, I love you. I am here for it when you're ready for it. And that is okay. You're not being ugly. You're not doing anything wrong. But it's detrimental to you if you're carrying around dead weight because what you're doing is instead of pouring into the new people or instead of looking for the next friend that you're going to make, you're literally spinning your wheels and putting all of your energy into someone who is not present. And it's not going to be fruitful. It's not going to be helpful. So do y'all have like a fruit bowl in your house, in your kitchen? We love avocados. And so we have like this big bowl with oranges and avocados and bananas. And I went the other day to grab an orange. And when I picked it up, it looked pretty on top. And I picked it up, and there's this big green, icky, furry thing. And everything that was touching it was moldy and ruined. That is what carrying the dead thing around is going to do to your business. Rot rots. So if you are carrying around somebody that doesn't really want to do the stuff and you're not pouring life into somebody else, it's going to deteriorate your business. It's going to wear you out and it's not healthy. So let the dead things go so that you have energy to pour into new, fresh, living things. Be willing to do what you ask your team to do. That's kind of hard sometimes. I'm not perfect at it, but I try really hard. If I ask my team to do something, and y'all, here's the reason. Well, there are a lot of reasons. They need to see you working. They need to see you adding. Like they need to see all that. But you also have to be attainable and relatable. If they look at us and they're like, well, Karhma's special. Karhma can talk to anybody. Karhma can do this. Karhma can, she's special. They're not going to think, if they're not just like you, they're not going to think they're special. And then that kind of equals Karhma can do it because of this, and I don't have that, so this is why I can't do it. So they need to see that it's not that you're special, it's that you work hard, and they can do that. And so I think that's super, super valuable. But if they never see you working or adding or doing the stuff, then they are going to internalize that into she has something I don't have. So we got to be really cautious of that. Um, Another thing is we need to grow leaders and not expect to find them. I want my backyard to be beautiful, but I cannot sit in the house and expect that something beautiful is going to happen. I've got to get out there and grow the flowers. And so figure out your people's talents. That's how, I've had people ask me, well, what if I have a team chat and it's dead? And how do I grow something from that? If you find your people's talents and gifts, then that's what you leverage. So you've got to give them space to use their talents. And Melissa and I had this whole conversation about it, and her response was hysterical. So, anyway, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I said, well, here's what I do. Because, she's always picking my brain and trying to figure out why I'm doing or thinking the way I am. And we have great conversations. So I'm telling her, yeah, I'm really trying to find my people's talents and give them room, give them ownership, because if they have a way to express that talent, then that gives them buy-in. She's like, okay, how are you doing that? And I said, well, we're doing Zooms and videos for our like trainings for our teams. So I have this one woman who is like, she's all about encouragement. That is her gift. And so I've asked her, will you put words of encouragement into our team chat every morning? Like that is your thing, that's your gift, that's what you can bring. So she does. And everybody starts their day by going to our team chat and reading Kimberly's encouragement for the day. Um, Casey is like the queen of reels. So I asked her to do a Zoom training on how to make reels because we have a lot of older ladies on our team. I'm almost 50. And so we have a lot of 50, 60-year-olds on our team. And, reels might not be their thing. And so Casey did a training on how to make a reel. It doesn't even have to be business stuff, y'all. So if you have somebody who just has like this passion and leadership, but maybe they aren't Ruby or senior Ruby yet, that doesn't mean they don't have something beautiful to bring. You just have to tap into it. So we've done, and I'm going to give y'all a few, if you're taking notes and you want to do this on your team, here are a few ideas. We did goal setting, a training about goal setting. Like I told you about Kimberly doing her encouragement. Somebody did a video about customer care because she retains her people and has like a system. So I asked her to share it. Casey's creating reels, how to build connections. I have a girl on our team who's so precious and friendly and never meets a stranger. And I'm like, can you just share? Where does that come from? And how do you do that? And just put it into words so that the people on our team that are shyer might have some steps, some things that they can utilize. One girl did a training on mindset. Product knowledge. The product knowledge is a great it's twofold. So if you have somebody on your team that's like, I really want to help. What can I do? And you're like, oh gosh, she's fairly new. What can I have her do? Get her to learn about two or three products and then share and train about those products. You're growing her and then she's growing somebody else. So it's been amazing, y'all. And Melissa's so funny. She's like, "What on earth would you do? Why would anybody want to tune in to a training about a reel? Like, just YouTube it. We have 20 videos about the triplex. Why don't y'all just pull one of those up and why is somebody making a video about it?" And I'm like, they would rather hear from each other, and I've got to leverage their gifts. And so it might seem, if you're super type A, it might seem like a waste of time. Like, why are we pouring energy into something that's already been done? But you're not. You're pouring energy into a person. And it's got to kind of be a shift of your thinking as far as that goes. Um, let's see. Empower your leaders. You'll be helping them grow, and then they will teach others how to grow. And that allows you to do other things because then your leaders are leading and growing other leaders. Have a leaders chat that I love. If you don't have a leaders chat, I would encourage you highly to do one. It's only gold and up. So I create FOMO with that. Everybody wants to be in the leaders chat. So you got to be gold to be in there. So there's your next goal, your next target. It kind of becomes an elite group, not in a snobby, icky way, but in a, ooh, I want to be part of that kind of way. And it's really been beneficial for our team. And then I would say, as much as you can, I don't know everybody's um, distance from their team member, like their big legs, but as much as you can, we try to do monthly lunches. My issue is that most of my team is at home where I grew up, and I am 2.5 hours away. So we meet in the middle. We have a meeting town. That's where we do lunch. We try to do it once a month, and it's also for the leaders chat folks. So it gives another incentive for the other girls to want to get to gold and be in that group. And then we try to do quarterly connections, whether it's Super Saturday or we did a chili cook off, and whatever it is, getting your whole team in a central place, if that's feasible for you. And you don't have to do it all the time, but quarterly has kind of worked for us. And it's been a lot of fun, and it allows the different legs to connect and build sidelines to stir relationships, which can be also very beneficial. Um, let's see, if things are quiet and you're wondering how to get people to engage, find their gifts. That is going to be fruitful for you, and it'll allow them to feel valued and needed. Don't feel like you have to say yes to everything. That's something I had to learn. Melissa asked me to do something, and a lot of her jewels were doing it. And y'all, I had to say no. And if you know Melissa Eichenhorst, it is hard to say no to that woman. And so, but sometimes you just have to say no. If what you're doing is working, keep doing it. And so I told her, I was like, girl, we're in momentum, we're doing good stuff. I I gotta say, so sorry. And she totally understood. And so it's okay. It's okay to not do everything. So those are my hints. I hit Emerald again in a healthy, sustainable way in September. And I just got my email about Hawaii. And y'all, I can tell you that I'm so elated. I have been telling my babies, who are not 14 and 16, not babies, that if mama ever earn Hawaii, she's going to take you. And they know me, and they knew that that was like, I'm going to do this. We're going to go to Hawaii. So my son will be a senior next year. And for this mama's heart, having both of my kids in Hawaii with me was a big goal. And I was feeling the pressure because Jude's about to go off to college in a year. And so it's been a beautiful journey. Has not been easy. 432. That was a hard rock bottom, but we are strong women. If you're in this group, you've built a team and you are doing right things. So we can also do hard things. So I'm glad to be here. I hope that something in that was helpful to y'all. And Megan, thank you for asking me to share.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I wrote down so many just good little nuggets of wisdom that you shared in that. Um, when you said you had to, after you missed, right, after you did the 4 months, you missed the fifth month, you had to start looking at your business for the reality of what it is, not the emotions that you brought into it.
Yeah.
And I think so many times as women, because a lot of us, I mean, so many of us here are stay-at-home moms who did not have other jobs previously. And so having that business sense and looking at the business like, okay, we're making money here. This isn't just like a little hobby side thing where we're making a few $100s, right? Like we're business owners and we have to treat it and look at it that way. But for women, we're so emotionally tied into it that it can cloud our judgment, that we're making poor judgments about our business because of the way that we feel, right? And in any business, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. You're not always going to be in momentum, but when you are, you ride that wave for as long as possible. And then you have to build back up that momentum. But if you are riding the roller coaster so much, then you can't
Right.
make those good business decisions that you're talking about. So that was absolutely like that was amazing. And then the fruit bowl analogy. Like that was so good, right? We always hear like don't drag people and we get that to an extent, but that picture was just so clear because we've all seen that before, right? So it's rotting everything in your team. It's rotting
Mm-hmm.
everyone who's
Mm-hmm.
around that person. And that
Yep.
can be so hard to separate that out. It almost feels like you're I know something that I've struggled with is like, oh my gosh, am I leaving them behind? But hang on. You said release them to what they have chosen.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
that is
hard.
it. Because you're
Yeah.
acknowledging that it's not your choice. It's
Right.
they are choosing that path for themselves.
Mhm.
And if they would like to match your high energy and run with you, right? They can choose to do that,
Right.
but we're not leaving them behind. They're choosing to stay there. And just that switch, like
Yeah.
releasing them, letting them do what they choose, that was amazing. Um, okay, and if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. One question that I had, so I know that you said, kind of your motto was like you can't lose if you don't quit. But what did you do initially to kind of stop the downward spiral and then start gaining that momentum back up again? Like when you hit that low point, like what did that look like for you? Obviously, you're like, okay, I'm not going to quit, but like what else was going through your mind and what else did you start doing that was like immediate, here's how we're going to try to right the ship and stop the downward spiral?
I think that's when I finally realized that I needed to figure out people's talents and I could not hold everything together. I am I'm like a little bulldozer and I will get it done and I like to do everything myself because I know it'll be done well if I do it. And so you cannot be a good leader and have that mindset. And so I had to start delegating and giving value to other people. And once I did that and they had ownership, things really started to gain momentum and shift. So I
Yeah,
think that was a big turning point.
I love that. Well, and it's almost like the slow down to speed up because you had to. So Caitlin's like, hi, Sharon, we're the problem. They are bulldozers. As soon as you said that, when you're like, I just like to do it
Right.
myself because I know that it's going to get done right.
It's
The
gonna
two of
get
them, their
done.
faces were like,
Hmm.
yes, I totally get that.
I'm saying Kayla and I are like we're BFFs already.
I love it. I love it. And so it's like it's slowing down a little bit to see people for who they are. And that's really what I heard
Yes.
when you were saying, I was finding their talents and I'm thinking like, okay, how is she doing this? But from what I was hearing from all the things you were sharing is you were seeing people for who they were, not who you wanted them to be.
Yeah, and
And that's hard.
that's hard. Yeah, because I want everybody to, I want them to be little bulldozers. I want to get it done. But that's not everybody's personality. And that's okay because they all bring something beautiful that the team as a whole needs. I'm a lot. I know I'm a lot. I'm okay with that. But sometimes people need something different than me. And I think me releasing that control has definitely brought our team closer because everybody has somebody on our team that they can relate to now, a leader that they can relate to.
Love that. Well, and my kids often confuse better and different. And we're constantly saying to them, no, it's not that this is better. It's just different. And I think if we
Yeah,
can apply that into our businesses, like the way that we do it or want it to be done is not better. It's just different. And that's going to be someone else is going to want to do it, but we see our way as better. And it's not
right.
necessarily. And so just letting them be who they are and letting them flourish even if it's so opposite of what we would want, like they're going to take that ownership, like you're saying, they're going to thrive because they now see, oh my goodness, Karma sees me as this. She sees the value in what I bring to the table instead of trying to mold everyone to be our little
Right.
robot to do everything. Then they feel squished. They feel like they can't do anything right. And so releasing that and just and taking the time to find out what their talent is and what they're good at. Because sometimes that can take a little while to see like, okay, well, what is it that they bring to the table? And maybe for us, we're like, I don't see that as such a great gift, right? Like I've honestly thought that about some people, but when you're like, no, that's the gift that they have, and we're gonna let them have full ownership and just run in that
Right.
lane with them, they're going to feel so valued, so seen, so free. And
Hmm.
somebody needs that because we have so many different people. So it's okay if, like, okay, that's not necessarily my favorite person to work with, or that's not my favorite thing to do. If it's theirs, let them do it. Give them
Hmm.
all the opportunities that they can to do that. And the people who are like them, who need that, they'll gravitate
Yes.
toward them, which is a really cool thing to see because you're like, how do the same people always find each other? Because energy matches energy. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the truth. The people on your team who are similar, they will all gravitate towards each other and they'll find each other. Um, so I love that. Those were just the questions I had. Does anybody else have any questions before we jump off? I think you covered everything. I mean, that was amazing. I love it. And I have a video too that I can send you guys that Karma sent to me of just sort of an interview style that she did with Melissa Eichenhorst that is a little bit longer. But I just really wanted to hear from her in person because there's something different about that energy when you're like actually having the conversation with someone, right? Like not just watching the recorded videos, and all of those different kinds of things. So we are so grateful for you that you took the
Yay.
time to pour into us today. It's very
Thank
life
y'all for having me.
and yeah, thank you so